Welcome, food travelers. I'm Simon.
And I'm Micah.
In this episode, we are doing a versus episode comparing the Space Needle over here at home in Seattle, Washington to that of the Stratosphere over in Las Vegas.
Yeah, Simon, in this video, starting off, we're going over the quick facts. So in Space Needle, it's opened in 1962 and it cost about $4.5 million. And the Stratosphere opened in 1996 and that cost about $550 million.
And for the height, it's about 605 feet to the very tip top of the Space Needle, or 184 meters tall. For the Strat, it is about 1,149 feet, or about 350 meters tall. And as you saw the elevators go up, that elevator is actually the actual elevator from the Space Needle, and it takes about 43 seconds from the bottom all the way up to the observation deck. And for the Strat, it's a little bit quicker at about 30 seconds, which is actually pretty good, but of course, it was a little bit newer, so you kind of expected, even though it is much taller.
Yeah, and some other quick fun facts here. Both of them were actually remodeled back in 2018, and surprisingly, they both cost about $100 million.
Yeah, and actually that original cost, I was kind of looking into it for the Space Needle, that $4.5 million. I looked at it in today's dollars, and it actually was about $45 million. So it's actually not too bad. It's still relatively inexpensive, especially compared to what the Strat cost.
Yeah, and moving on in the video, we'll share about the views, and starting off here, we're sharing the views of Space Needle going up from the elevator, and I like this view a lot. It's a really enjoyable ride. You guys see like the skyline of Seattle and Lake Union in the distance too.
One of the things I think, at least compared to the Stratosphere, is there's actually a view as you go up on the elevator, and they do have a recording that kind of plays and gives you some facts about how long it is to go up and some additional information as you're kind of riding your way up for this little kind of short distance here. But it is nice to be able to see out and then just kind of get that kind of sneak peek of the view before you actually get to the viewing section.
Yeah, and I remember one thing with the Space Needle is if you're going to the Loupe Lounge, you actually get to ride it a little bit longer, which is a nice part of it too.
Yeah, and then the part I also liked about that was that you got your own elevator, so you get your own personal entrance, and then you get into the elevator. So it didn't feel like it was like overcrowded. You kind of had enough space. There's people in there for sure, but you didn't feel like you were shoulder to shoulder and you can barely move and going up and looking at everything.
And another part I really like about the Space Needle view is the revolving glass, and also like just the fact that it revolves. So you could be standing in one part of the observation, and you could just enjoy the whole view from every angle.
Pretty interesting to see, especially with the glass floor. I remember the long time ago as I went, and they didn't have this before, and it was fun, but it's just not quite the same. I really do enjoy this glass floor. You just it changes the whole dynamic of pretty much observing the Space Needle itself and its surroundings and the city of Seattle and everything else. So I think that their upgrade to this was just huge, and I'm really glad that they made it, because it's been a while since I visited, and it kind of threw me as for a surprise, but it was a very, very good surprise, so I was really happy.
Yeah, just watching the mechanics of the floor revolving was actually fun to watch. You could like just stand there and stare at the ground for a good few minutes.
And then for the Strat, the view, it's also very beautiful. You get a nice 360 view of all around Las Vegas and the desert. One of the things that, the size of the space in the Strat is just so much bigger. And so, definitely it's a little different in terms of being able to make all this kind of glass walkways and everything like they did at the Space Needle. But it's really nice, especially if you've never gone up to the Strat before. And for me, just looking at this, it was really, really beautiful, because you really get a good layout of Las Vegas and the Strip and where everything's at. So it's just really, really beautiful. Definitely worth a trip.
Yeah, I remember going up the elevator for the Strat. My ears did pop on that. It was really fast and really high, and this view itself is just, because it's so big, they can put all this entertainment rides on the top, and I think the night view here is just really pretty, especially if you love that Strip view. The night view at the Strat is just, it's just one of a kind.
Yeah, you'll get all the lights and everything going. Unfortunately, we weren't there at night, but even during the day, you get to see all the things. It's really nice to see.
And then moving on to the next part, the food. Starting off with the food at the Strat. They have this cafe. There's nothing too spectacular about it. It's just your basic cafe food with sandwiches, soup, and ice cream.
Yeah, pretty basic in terms of food. There is a restaurant that you can do that is more upscale and it's a sit-down place, and you kind of have to dress up for. We didn't do that, and we didn't add that since we didn't film it, of course. But we didn't want to compare it to the Space Needle, since the Space Needle didn't have anything like that. They used to, but they removed that, and they kind of treated their place kind of more the same as a cafe/bar. And here at the Strat, there's actually a place called 108 Eats, and that's the cafe, and 108 Drinks, which is the bar itself.
Yeah, and moving on to Space Needle food, they actually have this Loupe Lounge, which is pretty cool. It's a revolving 360 view, and you have your own dedicated space to sit, and it has all the food prepared to you, and it's actually pretty good food. I like this one a lot.
I did too. The Wagyu slider was really good, and so were the French fries. It was nice, crispy. No sogginess. At least that's how I prefer it, to have it nice and crispy. But yeah, the food was actually pretty good, and of course it's surprised with the dessert that they gave us, which were macaroons, which you'll see in the video. But it's just a very nice atmosphere to have something nice to eat at the same time, having just beautiful things to look at, and with the view itself from the Space Needle, with just kind of all the different surroundings, because you get the water, you get to see the mountains plus the city and kind of the little neighborhoods that all around. It's just a really unique thing that you kind of, at least I took for granted while living here forever and not visiting the Space Needle as much as maybe I should. But definitely now, having visited, I was happy that I did come over here.
Yeah, I think having that view, especially on a sunny day, it's just something you can't beat. I really enjoyed the view at the Strat. It was cool to see everything, but seeing the desert, and I think the most interesting part was just watching the Las Vegas Strip. But for Space Needle, you pretty much just get everything. It feels like you're seeing a lot more for what you're getting.
Yeah, I agree. Even just watching the ferries as they pull in over in the water on the waterfront, and cars driving by in through downtown, or watching the freeway, or even the other small boats as it's people sailing over on the lake. Just very beautiful, very serene and comfortable. But I definitely like the Space Needle view, but both are really great.
Yeah, so if you've never been to either of them, I highly recommend you to visit them. And to support our channel, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for the YouTube algorithm. And for more photos, follow us on Instagram. See you guys on the next episode.